It is February 28th, 2019, and this is FAWMtalk. I'm, of course, Johan. With me, as always, Mr. Suspiciously punctual radio personality, co-host TC Elliot. How are you doing?
Doing pretty well, trying to maintain my punctuality.
That is alright. And of course we have a very special guest today. It's a sheep.
Oh.
There you go. Yeah, so how's it going?
It's not too bad.
Not too bad.
It's all right. FAWM's going well. Work was really not good today, but now that I'm home, getting better. Last day of FAWM.
Yeah, it's March here, so I went for a walk earlier today, and it's really slippery. It's been really warm for some reason, and then it's been raining water all over, like a foot of snow, and then it starts to get colder, a bit colder again, and it's like, yeah, you step like 10 steps out of your front door and you're already breaking bones.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds awful.
No, it's alright. I don't have to leave home, so it's...
That's awesome.
Okay, let's do music. I got music here. So this was called Little Air Sailors, and it's by The Lowest Bidder and Daniel John Ken.
For sleep, in our jeans, whispering lies, 6 spice dreams. Little sailors, whoa, and the lost others, whoa, little sailors, whoa, and the lost others, whoa. Morning flash, six spiced dreams, fading shadows, wanderer leaves. Little sailors, whoa, smelling the abyss, whoa, little sailors, whoa, smelling the abyss, whoa.
There Sailors by The Lowest Better and Daniel John Kim.
Ah,
Do you feel rejuvenated by the string
No.
food?
a little bit. I'm getting there.
Yeah. All food,
I got 2 more.
all food should come in string form. String bacon.
All right.
Get
String chili,
That's a good one. But string sausages.
string pizza.
Oh, there we go. If somebody came up with string pizza, they'd be millionaires.
That's not a bad idea. Pizza sticks. They probably have that somehow.
Well, yeah. But I mean, just something that you
That's a great idea.
you can have a what do you call this? Like a yarn, and then just keep like.
Well, it might be thicker, but yeah.
Or have you seen in Wayne's World where they have in the car, in sealing the car, they have that little dispenser. You could have pizza, string pizza,
yeah.
in the dispenser.
Yeah. String pizza or pizza sticks. We're gonna be millionaires.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm too lazy for that, so somebody else gonna have to come up with that. Anyway, that was a nice song.
I liked it. I forgot where it builds up at the end. That was really cool.
Yeah, it's very
Like subtly, but very effective.
very unique type of beat, and
Yeah.
the instruments were also used kind of as like rhythmic instruments, or yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a guitar at the end there. Kind of sounded like
I
guitar.
think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was almost like played like a drum. Well,
Yeah. That was a good sound. I liked it. It's a little sparse in the instrumentation. It was pretty cool.
yeah, it's still playing in my head.
Yeah, it was just
By the way, but we have been discussing a lot about how I could get back into the songwriting game, and actually managed to make a song, a collaboration with Pearl Manhattan.
right.
That was fun.
I have to check that out yet. I still haven't heard it.
Yeah, it was a good tip trying those collaborations, and actually we managed to produce something pretty. It was pretty fun. I've been listening to it quite a bit now.
Good. I'm definitely looking forward to checking it out. I think somebody had asked me if I'd seen it, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then when I saw it flip by, I was like, oh yeah, I saw this come up in my feed in my watch list, but I haven't listened. I listened to just a few songs today, and then I've been trying to do last minute songs for a different project. So we'll see.
Yep.
When I get to it. Tomorrow I'm off, so I'll be listening to. I found not everybody sticks around, but usually for the first couple of days after, they're checking for comments. So if I can manage to do a bunch of listening in the next 2 days, that's what I'm going to try and do. So
Yeah, I don't think I'm trying to think how many comments have I typically received during March. It's not many.
Yeah.
It's probably I can probably count them with one hand. All 8 years.
So the first year after 2008, I think I've mentioned this, but I hadn't heard Val Cox until actually after FAWM was over. So we ended up listening to quite a bit of each other's stuff, which I feel sorry for her. That first year, my stuff was awful, but she was awesome. Or maybe it was 09. I can't remember. I think it was 08. And then there have been several years where March seemed really active, not compared to FAWM, but like not a ghost town. And then some years it did, and it just seems like it's dead. But I think what it is, the perception is, there's usually a thread that says who's going to stick around, or who's still here, and you kind of update it every week or so. Somebody will post on it, but a lot of people go to that thread, and anybody that's posted, they know that they're still around. They'll go and listen to them. So what it ends up being is there's a group of people that listen to each other, and basically trade comments. Not I'll do yours, you do mine. It's just because they're still there. So if you know somebody's still at the site, that's a good person to go listen to, because they're gonna enjoy the comments. And I think there's something cool about leaving a comment that somebody doesn't get until December when they download. They archive their FAWM, and they're like, oh, I don't remember this. But then if it's me, I don't remember most of the comments, a year from now. So, I read through them and I'm like, oh, that's cool, or I'd forgotten about that, or something like that. But I do think there is some activity. But I know like last year, I was like, yeah, I'm going to comment in March and be part of it. And I didn't do anything. But as a result, I didn't get a lot of comments back, which was perfectly fair. I mean, I think that's fine. But I think if I would have stayed active with the people who were around and were commenting, that it would have been synergy there. It would have been some.
Right, yeah. I do periodically go through my old stuff, like archived stuff, and read back because I have like a inkling of I remember this person left me a really cool comment, and I go find it and read it through again. It's I don't know, warms the cackles of my heart.
Wait, you have a heart?
Yeah, it's in there
somewhere.
There's like 6 feet of gravel on top of it, but it's there. It's been documented.
Keep it locked away.
Right.
Yeah.
I think.
Sometimes going back and reading old comments, I rediscover songs that I'd forgotten about, and then sometimes this is kind of cool. I guess I might not should say this, but something that's kind of cool is I'll go back through an archive. Very seldom do I look at them, but every once in a great while I'll have my archives. Usually when I archive the new one, I kind of go through a couple of them. And so I go back through the archive and I see, oh, I remember that song. It was awful. Like, it really needed a lot of work. And then I look at how supportive the FAWMers were. And it's like, these guys, they were completely supportive, 100%, and it's like that was, it makes me feel so good. There's like, I know this song wasn't very good, and they still took the time to comment and support me and do this stuff. It's like, that's the best feeling in the world. And sometimes I'll think that, oh, this song wasn't awful, and they're just being, and then I'll go back and listen to it. I'm like, oh, well, I thought this thing was complete crap, and then there is some redeeming value to the song, or so it is kind of cool to go back through the old stuff.
You gotta take a little bit of distance to your old stuff before you can really appreciate the good stuff.
Yeah, but those first couple of years, I was I feel sorry for anybody that listens to that stuff. It's not.
Well, like everybody feels that way, but it's not.
Yeah, and some of it's the songwriting, some of it's the performances. When I go back and listen to how pitchy my voice was, like, and just didn't care. It's like, or how out of time the music, like the glaring mistakes and.
Right. Well,
but there's some cool stuff too. So
let's see how many mistakes we can find from this next track.
We got your track.
Well, it's. The track's called "Inevitable Evidence," so it's like you gotta kind of find something from the. But this one is by Das Binky and Nancy Rost, so let's give it a listen.
First time I met you, you didn't ask my major. I didn't know it anyway. You borrowed my eraser. What you read between the lines was total news to me. We were taking physics. You thought we had chemistry. Commit this phrase to memory. I can't commit to certainty. Every time I move find everywhere I turn. Inevitable evidence, I've got a lot to learn. Every time I move I find everywhere I turn. Inevitable evidence, I've got a lot to learn. Some lovers speaking binary, discarding daisy petals. When we were together, I preferred to count your freckles. The way that you observe a thing determines where it goes. You filled my room with flowers, but the bloom was off the rose. Commit this phrase to memory. I can't commit to certainty. Every time I move I find everywhere I turn inevitable evidence, I've got a lot to learn. Every time I move I find everywhere I turn inevitable evidence, I've got a lot to learn. What we are to each other now doesn't always rhyme. Had to test the waters, now we're testing paradise. I think that now you don't misunderstand me when I say that my whole life has been one long experimental phase. Commit this phrase to memory. I can't commit to certainty. Every time I move I find everywhere I turn inevitable evidence, I've got a lot to learn. Every time I move I find everywhere I turn inevitable evidence, I've got a lot to learn.
Inevitable Evidence by Das Binky and Nancy Rost.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just read a comment.
So, do you have like a psychopathic eating habits?
Apparently, Evan's telling me how it's a sociopathic trait to bite their string cheese in the middle.
He's always calling us out.
Yeah.
Little
Just because it's true doesn't mean he should say it.
Yeah. You gotta have some sort of
But that
discretion.
yeah, that Nancy Rost, she is a gem. I love her to death.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe not.
probably
Maybe not that much.
everyone out there is like, how can you not like that?
She's awesome. She was one of the FAWMers my 08 year that was really encouraging and had kind of showed me the ropes and commented on several songs. I asked questions and she answered them. Her and nice. Her and Hoops and Helen and actually talked to Charlie Cheney quite a bit in the chat room that first year. So but she's, and then Hoops and I and Nancy were in the Rot Band together, so we had quite a few collaborations as the Rot Band. So
What was that one?
that was fun. It started out, Nancy did a typo, so instead of saying Nancy Rost, she said Nancy Rot. And then she decided she did a little EP in the middle of 5090 about, composting? There was a song about worms and a few other things. Yeah. And then I was like, we should, I was like, oh, that sounds like a good idea, like that. She goes, well, send me music or whatever. So I started doing just acoustic guitar things out of time and send it to her, and she would put a lyric to it or sing on it or have an idea and come back, and then she gave it to Hoops, and Hoops would drum on it, which was amazing to me because it was literally out of, like, no click track, no nothing, and he nailed it and would add bass and all this stuff to it. And so I had so the rock band had we did 5 tracks, and her band, so Das Binky, John and John Crossman and her are in a band in Madison, Wisconsin called Two Johns and a Nancy, and they actually do one of those songs in their set, which is pretty cool. And so Das Binky actually sings that song more than I do and does a better job at it, I would say. But it was really cool. So we ended up doing, the rock band did a cover of Somewhere Over the Rainbow that is rocking. It's awesome, and a bunch of different songs over the course of 8 years or 10 years or something like that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's like Nancy
So I love
Nancy Rost and the Rottens.
She was Nancy Rott. I'm Tommy Rott, and then
okay.
Hoops was several people. So it was, and we were in our band. We're brothers and sisters. So she's my Rott band sister.
That's awesome.
We went to Chicago when Helen was on one of her trips. I think her second trip. She came through, and my wife and I and Helen drove up to Chicago and met John and Nancy, and we did a collaboration with all of us in the room, and it ended up being a rock band song. Who added on to it, and it was pretty cool.
All right. Yeah, I mean,
so that's
sometimes try to record drums over songs, and it can be varying levels of difficult. But it's if it's like really free time, then it takes some doing.
Yeah, I'd like to think that those songs weren't completely varying in tempo back and forth, but I know from section to section that it wasn't consistent. But Hoops was so amazing that at every instrument he picked up, I loved his guitar solos. They were so tasty, and just where his mind went was always amazing. So
yeah, I saw some of his drumming videos where he played these varying time signature pieces, just go all over the place. That takes a certain type of mind, and I don't have that mind. I just have to.
Yeah, he loved the odd time signatures, and he played his drum kit left-handed. So
oh right, yeah.
That's it was pretty cool, and he made it look effortless. And I don't know how easy it was for him, or how long it took him to get to that place. Yeah. But he made it seem like it was always joyful to do. And like sometimes I'm playing or trying to do something, and it's a fight. I'm trying to wrestle a good performance out of the guitar or out of the bass guitar.
Right. It takes like time, and of course when you've done it long enough, then it just becomes like second nature to you. It's just combining stuff that you'll enjoy.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's a perfectly logical explanation, but I still don't understand it.
All right. So,
but it's kind of like that saying, it's easy if you know how. It's like I'll pick up the guitar and I'll play something, and somebody will be completely impressed. I'm like, oh wow, you're really good. And it's like, no, I'm not. I just know how to do that. I know what I do, like what my little thing. It's like, if you have your thing, and I might look at it and you're like, oh, it's easy. Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I can't do it. And it's one of those things. But with Hoop, it just seemed like no matter what musical situation you put him in, like genre, style, meter, or whatever, he was able to adapt what he did. Like his wheelhouse was everything, because he made it his wheelhouse. He was able to do it so well, and I think that's like what you were saying, that mind that does that odd signature and goes back and forth, and it just goes through there. You know, I think that was his love of prog rock and those types of things, but it's still, you know, there's a talent there that I certainly don't understand.
Yeah. Well, it is. Yeah, of course it takes a lot of time to get to that point. Yeah. And I've had that experience where, like, you say it's easy if you know how, or that there's like saying like that, but like with guitar, I used to watch a lot of guitar videos, and one of my guitar idols was John Petrucci from Dream Theater, and I watched he had this, like, back when guitar, like VHS tapes and DVDs or this type of deals, they were like a really big deal. Like only the best of the best had those available, and he had one called Rock Discipline, and there's a lot of good stuff in that, and I've watched it a ton, and I've practiced like hours and hours of those stuff, like 6 hours a day for many weeks, and I never got anywhere. I don't know what I was. Well, now I know what I was doing wrong, but I don't understand how anybody learns to play guitar with that method. It was strange, and it's kind of frustrating because you're putting in the work, but you're not getting anywhere. So you kind of feel like I know what I'm supposed to do because this guy is telling me do this, but that's just, it's not working. And sometimes it's difficult to even get to a point where you kind of know what you have to do.
Yeah. Did you find, and you're talking a little more technical than probably I'd ever really got into trying to learn things, but did you ever go through or maybe have stages where it felt like you weren't making progress for weeks or a month or even months, and then all of a sudden it just kind of clicked? Like 1 week you were like bam, 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 and it was all sorts of, you felt like you were doing a lot of progress.
No, not really.
For me, I felt that quite a bit, and a lot of other people that I've talked to, not a lot, but several other people that I've talked to have gone through a similar, where you're, whether it's practice routine or just playing or whatever, but it just seems like you're kind of stuck in the rut and you're not getting better, and then all of a sudden you find a song you're trying to learn, or you're playing along, and then you do something and it's like 3 or 4 revelations that, oh, I can do this, or I can do this. It all comes at once. And it seemed to me like, yeah, it is kind of weird. And it seemed to me like without the couple of weeks or couple of months of putting in the time and playing, I don't know that I would have gotten to the point where I made the improvement that 1 week. Right. So it's one of those things, like, we all want this linear, we're going to improve. But what it ends up being is one of these things where it's, you know, and sometimes, like, I'm like, well, last week I was better than this. Like, your feelings on how proficient you are sometimes aren't a realistic.
Well, I'm completely void of that experience. I have never. I get to like a certain point, and then I'm just there. And I've practiced and practiced, keep practicing like forever and ever. I never get past that point, or I didn't used to. Then I actually figured out what I need to do, and it's this one thing. And now, whenever I practice, whatever I practice, it's always a linear. The more time I put into things, the more better I get.
The more betterer.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
so what's the one thing?
Well, it's in my book, but it's.
Where's the link to the book?
Should I post it here? Let me go find it. I have it. I think I have it in my.
You think
juhakeranen.com / guitar
book.
let's see if you can do this. You have to do the percent symbol 20 technicalities
Space.
.pdf. Nope, didn't find it. Okay, let me go to my FTP and let's see here. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
How much does this book cost?
It's absolutely free. What I was missing something? I actually. Huh. I actually did that right, but I guess I was. I misspelled it. So. There we go. So that's.
Sweet.
It's like a draft, but everything you need to know is there. And if you read that, if you follow the stuff I tell you to follow, you'll get better. Well, people are different, and I've been on this planet long enough to know that what works for me might not work for you. But in my experience with all my students, when they stop their like fiddling and they're staring at walls and really listen to what I tell them and really drop their preconceptions and just start to try what I want them to try, they start immediately improving like crazy. But it's difficult because people like I got a lot of guitarists, like 14-year-old kids that want to play like Metallica solos, and the problem is they think they know how to play guitar. They just come to the guitar classes and they think that, well, I'll sit here and I get better, but of course it doesn't work like that. And the problem there is that I try to teach them something and they hear me and they're like nodding, and then they start playing and they just do whatever they did before. So they're not changing anything. Oftentimes I just had to. I hear them playing like two notes, and I'm saying like, "Stop! Okay, don't do that. You're doing it wrong." And I didn't tell you to do that. So you have to do it like this. And it's like you're holding their hand, like, here, play it like this. But yeah.
You sound like the most wonderful guitar teacher that I've ever heard of.
I'm the best.
Do it this way!
Yeah, but
Or else!
I want people to improve. I'm not
Improve or else.
Yeah, because they pay me good money. I feel bad taking their money and just watching them like you're not doing it right. You're not going to improve. You're not getting anything out of this. So I'm just like,
right.
Please stop whatever you're doing. Listen to what I say, and then do it like that.
Oh goodness.
It is a struggle.
Well, thank you for the link. It's in the chat.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a mess. Like I said, it's like a first draft, and maybe I'll rewrite it one day, but it's not in plans currently. So read it, and if there's something you can take out of it, well, I say it in the book. It's not meant to be something that you add to your practice regimen or whatever. You have to dump everything you know and how you do things, and the way I practice, what I'm teaching you, it's meant to replace what you're doing currently. It's like a complete overhaul. You can't add it to your previous knowledge.
Repertoire.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, let's go.
All right.
We were talking about hoops, and it kind of reminded me. We had actually Nadya, who's in the chat room currently. He asked me to play this song, Nadya Crips, and I just feel like this is kind of a fitting song. It's called "In Memory of You." Nadya Cripps, In Memory of You. She writes in a liner notes that I composed my music in memory of people who are sadly no longer with us. And yeah, it's just made me think of Hoops and RC and all those great formers that have sadly passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So doing this for however many years, there's going to be more people missing. It's kind of sad to think about just in general.
Yeah.
And like Hoops, RC and I had some interaction, so he was always just super nice and helpful and always willing to help. People want to get into mixing, he would help them, and he had a particular style or way he would arrange, but it was really good, and you could learn a lot from that. But Hoops was the same way. I learned more from Hoops, and it wasn't so. For some people, when you talk mixing, they're like, okay, you need to do this technique, or this is how you use a compressor, or think about using a compressor here. And with Hoops, the main things I learned was kind of a 3D vision of a song for arrangement, and then frequency and depth. So when I started thinking of it that way, the EQ made sense, and then the reverb and the delay and how close and how far away you had things was a really cool way of imagining the way you want a track to sound, or to get from what you hear in your head to what the final mix is. It just gave me a roadmap, and the way he explained it was it just clicked. It was just really easy for me to understand. Even if I couldn't do it, at least I knew what I was aiming for. So
yeah, I have the exact same experiences with RC. We were planning on a collaboration on 1591 year, and for whatever reason we never did find time for it, but he always was a gentleman. He's one of the best people around there. He left a big gap in the community, I think.
Yeah. It was, and I don't remember him being around a great many years. I know it was several FAWMs, 2 or 3 at least, maybe more. But it was amazing how kind he was, that so many people had interactions with him. So, yeah, it's just... and he did the Spin Tunes contest. They do that twice a year, and it's kind of like Nurine, where you have a song title or a theme, and in Spin Tunes it's more of a theme and a challenge. Everybody writes a song, and then they have usually 4 or 5 judges, and they'll vote and rank the songs, just how good they are based on whatever you want to do. And he did that a couple of times at least, and his song "A Marriage in 7 Parts" was actually a result of that.
That is one of my
the Spin
favorites.
Tunes challenge.
When I listened to that, I was immediately like, "That's so good." It's probably my favorite from him.
Yeah, I don't know if it's my favorite to listen to. Like, it might be, but it is by far my favorite, because you can learn so much, or hear how, like, you got 7 parts and you're going through this thing. That's and they're not repeating the parts. It's hard to do that well. He knocked it out of the park. I don't know if he was the top entry on that round or not, but he definitely in the top couple. Just knocked it out of the park. Just absolutely did a great job with it. And so I can listen to that song today and hear things that will, it puts me back in a time, but it also, this is how he did this and how he'd be creative. And he had that sound, that RC sound, but it still wasn't, it never got old. It wasn't a, like with me, I do the same things and it's like, okay, I've heard this before. But for him, it was still refreshing and I just don't seem to get tired of it. Yeah. And I've got a fair amount of his music, but I'm still missing quite a bit, which I went and tried to find as much as I could, and it was hard to. He had a lot of songs.
Yeah, Nadya's track. It's interesting. We were talking about Elton John with Pearl Manhattan because we were making our collaboration, and it's kind of Elton John type of track, or it was. I guess it was inspired by Elton John's music, but Nadia's track, it was very soundtrack like this some sort of soundscape. But it reminded me of this piece of music Elton John made called "Funeral for a Friend." It's I found many similarities, and it's got that very heavy feeling.
Yeah, there was definitely a weight to Nadia's track that it wasn't heavy, but there was, I guess, a depth, like, to help with the emotion that she was trying to convey. Mm-hmm. So you could actually feel that while listening, and so
it's solemn.
But yeah.
Well, let's go to something else then. What do
sure.
we got here? Melon Coke. What's it called? These MP3 files have the weirdest names. Okay, Melon Coke. This is by Mike Debenham and Lee Pat. This one's called Toes.
Sitting at home, putting my feet up, keeping an eye on a world of woes, but I don't wear slippers, keeps me on my toes, honing my skills, keeping my chin up, making a stand, surrounded by foes, but I never wear slippers, keeps me on my toes. One day I'm gonna get up, go out and join the fray. One day I'm gonna stand up, and lead the parade. Oh, one day I'll grab the oars, and row against the flow. Won't put on my sandals, gotta stay on my toes. One of these days, you'll see me coming, eyes ablaze, arrows and bow. Won't be riding on horseback, gotta keep on my toes. One of these days, you'll see I work in mysterious ways. It's not just for show, I don't even have socks on, keeps me on my toes. But first I need to practice and polish up my moves and comb my hair backwards until it's killer smooth. Whoa, to get off on the right foot. You know how the story goes. Just leave your boots at home, it'll keep you on your toes. It'll keep you on your toes.
Toes by Mike Debenham and Lee Pat.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
I love that melody, just the way he sings it. It's just so, I don't know what it is. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's got a lot of movement to it. It's like not very static. It goes and it has a clear path. Very interesting melodies. Yeah.
I need to go back and check out that lyric again because there was some lines I really liked.
Being a little bit blurry, I mean, I guess it could be just like the mist. Equipment acting up. Well, we got a blurry TC from now on, so
Blurry
Tom. There we go. That always works, yeah. We always have to do it like, yeah, in perfect. What do you call that? Choreography.
No idea.
No, yeah, I don't know what I'm talking half the time.
Only half. That's a good improvement.
Yeah. Well, it's been a long time, so. So what's happening next? I mean, FAWM is ending. It's the last day. I mean, it's March here, but it's for you. It's the last day. So, what's happening next?
We got 11 hours and 9 minutes of FAWM left as of right this second when I said that. And what is happening next for me? I'm not sure. There's a Facebook group, that album production challenge. There's some people who are going to try to do albums or singles or EPs or something, or a couple of singles maybe, from March 1st through May 1st. So I'm going to try to keep encouraging people to have something that they can share with their friends and family, or maybe even, sell and Spotify, whatever they want to do, but something that they can kind of be proud of, something just a little bit better than dashing off a 2-hour demo. And because I know I've had more than my fair share of those over the years, that just, songs I like that just sit there. So this gives you a reason to pick a project. And last year, actually, Amanda Williams and I were going to do an EP of collaborations. And my computer, actually 2 computers blew up, one right after the other. So that might be something. I haven't really talked to her about it, so maybe I shouldn't assume, but that might be a good project to get some collaborations in, put a coat of polish on it, shine them up a little bit, and then have something that we can,
That sounds cool.
Yeah, just like when Steven was on, he said, it took somebody threatening to clean his whiteboard off for him to actually do something with them. And, sometimes it's something, I say that's silly, but there was a lot of attachment to that for him. It's not really a silly thing to do to wipe that clean, but it takes something like that to get you going. And there's been a couple of people who've tried this over the last year and a half and haven't really succeeded, but they've gotten progress. And eventually, hopefully, they come through. And then there's other people who they've done it, and they've got 5 or 6 things they've released or have finished. So
I should probably try to do it myself, because I have these couple EDM tracks that I did this FAWM. So I could make an EP out of those, probably, or sing. Well, it's not really a single if it's 2 tracks.
Yeah. I just read or watched a couple of videos. I think we talked about it, that Damian Keys, and it said, stop making EPs. Did I mention that one? It's a YouTube video.
Really?
Yeah, so his point is actually, so he's a social media marketer and a music marketer. So he that's kind of his bag, or his forte or whatever, but that's what he's doing on YouTube and doing this stuff. And it kind of makes sense. I wonder, but basically what he says is, if you're a band starting out, or if you don't have a lot of followers, if you put all this time and effort into an EP, right, and you release the EP, you've basically got about 2 weeks of hype of getting the local newspaper or a magazine or a TV station or a radio station or something to do something with it, because it's new, because it comes out. And he said, but if you have, and let's say you have 5 songs, but if you release a song this month, you still have about 2 weeks of something new that you can try to get bloggers or vloggers or whoever, but you've got, that it's still new for about 2 weeks. After that, it's like, well, I released this thing 2 weeks ago. You start losing momentum and it kind of fades away. And it doesn't mean you can't do things with it, but the marketing part, the push, the excitement kind of fades, and it makes sense. But if you do a single every month, that's 5 months that you can get people excited to build your audience, whether that's a YouTube audience or an email list or whatever it is. And so I actually purchased his book, and it's I can't remember, something about social media and how to use different platforms to do the stuff. So I'm kind of looking forward to reading that and seeing. So I don't agree with him 100% on not doing an EP, but I definitely see how releasing singles and then putting out a package with a couple of new things, you get the best of both worlds.
I can see that, like, from a marketing point of view, it makes sense. I kind of hate that at the same time, because I listen to a lot of music, and when they are not in albums, like with an album, it's easy to listen to a few tracks, and if it's not something that is grabbing me, I can just discard it. But with singles, if there's like 300 singles, I have to listen through every one of those. So it's a lot more work for me personally. So I kind of hate that. But so if you have 14 tracks for FAWM that you produce into like fully fledged versions, should you release 14 singles?
Yeah. So I kind of think of it like back in the day. So I'm thinking of Muddy Waters. So the old blues artists, in fact, when you'd have acetate singles, and it was really, a single was one song on one side, one song on the other. So you had two songs, but it was a single, right? And that's all you had. And even when it went to vinyl, you had these little 1 or 2 track deals. And the albums, when vinyl albums came in, they would take artists and they would collect 8 or 9 of their singles and put it on an album. So I kind of see his vision of releasing a single, maybe 4 or 5 times, and then the other 4 or 5 songs on your album you can release as an album. So you're getting some play of these singles, and it kind of harkens back, from an older time. It's kind of the same thing, and then it's not that much difference than I remember in the 80s when you'd hear the new song on the radio, from Van Halen or whatever artist it was, and you couldn't buy the album yet. You had to wait a month or 3 weeks before the album dropped, but they were releasing the one song to get you teased to get you interested in it. The same thing when music tracks in movies. They finally figured out that if you had this rock artist or this pop artist doing this song that was popular, that helped fuel people going to the movies, and it also helped the songwriter. So I kind of see his point. I kind of agree with his point from a marketing standpoint. But I think you could do it in a way where you can have original content go out in album form and still use the single type of thing to come in. And eventually, I thought for a long time, instead of trying to do an album, get bogged down, I can't do this album, but to release a single once a month, and at the end of the year, you combine them and have your album. And then the next year you do it, and every year you could have a 12-track album by doing 1 track a month of production. And that sounds like, when I first thought about it, I was like, that sounds very involved in a long time. But it was years ago. If I had been doing that this whole time, the same energy I'm putting into Song Fight and all the stuff, if I just took 1 of those weeks or 2 of those weeks and did a really good job on production, I would have stuff I'd be very proud of.
Yeah, it makes sense in that way. I don't know. But it's of course not that black and white. But
no. And his point is, like, so people get mad at him, you're wrong and you can't do this, and people should buy music, and don't give your music away and stuff like that. And his point is, the music industry has changed. Like, you can pretty much get anything that's on Spotify, you can listen to for free. So people don't have to buy music anymore. And that's really sad on one side, but on the other side, if you don't adapt to that, Like that's a truth. Like sales are going down. People aren't buying as much music. It's just a matter of time before it's even less than it is now. It's dropped every year. So that's a truth. So don't, like, if you want him to help you, which not all of us do, we don't have to take his advice. But if you want him to help you, he's like, that's a truth. How are we going to deal with it? And then market your strategy so that you can build a YouTube audience and you're making money off YouTube, or you can get Spotify plays or get on playlists and you can build an income stream that way, or you can offer original content to some people and do a Patreon or something like that and have multiple streams of income and support yourself from music. But you're not, very few of us are going to be the Foo Fighters where we have a record contract, we can release an album and have thousands of opportunities. Very, very few musicians, successful musicians, are going that route these days. And so how do we adapt to it? And it's scary, it's frightening, we don't have to like it, but if we don't embrace the new truth of what the market is, then we will not be successful. And I think it's very interesting. And I'm with you. I don't agree with everything he says, but and he kind of purposely says it in an argumentative way, but his points are pretty valid.
I think I kind of, from what I've heard you talking about his stuff, I think I pretty much agree with what he's saying. There are, I think there are good, there are arguments you can make for doing it the old way, but it's still, like you said, the world has changed, the music industry has changed. So I know people who are angry who only listen to music they can buy on Bandcamp. So, and it's admirable in some sense, but then again, I don't know. I just don't feel like doing it. So the world is what it is, and it's not going to change because I personally choose not to use Spotify or something.
Yeah, and it's not an indictment of Spotify, or at least I don't intend it to be an indictment of Spotify. And I think there are definitely negatives, especially for established musicians from the past. Like my favorite band is the Bottle Rockets, and streaming has hurt them. They were doing the traditional band thing, but the reality is it's here, whether you like it or not. Even if I don't, and I very seldom use Spotify. As a matter of fact, almost all the times I use Spotify, it's links that you've posted in the Slack chat, and then it gets me listening to other things as a way to say, hey, check this out, or this is really good, or whatever. Yeah. And it's awesome. It's a way to discover new music. But in the past, buying an album, like when I was younger, buying an album was part of your relationship with the artist. And now that is starting to slip. But the bands I really like, I do buy merchandise. And I kind of consider vinyl or CDs merchandise. Because I can get the music, I can download it and pay $10 and get a whole album. But the CD is going to cost me $15 plus shipping. And the vinyl is going to cost me $20 or $25, and hopefully they're at a venue that I can get it so I don't have to worry about it breaking in the mail. But it's supporting the artist, and so that relationship I have with the artist, that's what they always sold. Yeah. That's always what they sold. That relationship, and you're getting something good. It wasn't just this awesome music and that was it. It was a relationship. We've got to find better ways of doing that. Right. Spotify is a good tool to get that relationship. Yeah,
and there are other ways, like it's social media these days and internet in general. There are ways to building that relationship. What Jan was saying, like on the chat room, I found people who refuse to listen to actually free music because they get all their music on Spotify, and this is an interesting phenomenon that I've also noticed on in the game industry. And there's this service called Steam, where you can get it's a digital game platform that has it has thousands and thousands of games, probably about 20 or 30,000 games at this point, and all the big publishers put their games on Steam, and on PC that's where you buy games and that's where you play games, and it's just how it goes. And they pretty much have a monopoly on that that stuff. There are other retailers like Good Old Games and Origin, Uplay, all sorts of stuff like that. But what we realized, or what we noticed when we were releasing our game, is that all the other places put together pretty much they add up to like 5% of the sales. So Steam is like 95% and everything else is nickel and dime. And it's odd because when we have games that we sell on other platforms, people are not buying it because it's not on Steam. So they have all their whole library on Steam, and it is convenient for them to have it on Steam and play the games from there. And similarly, I think a lot of people just want to listen to their music on Spotify. Not necessarily even because you get a better service if you pay for it monthly and you can have it on your phone or whatever. But just because you open it up every day on your PC or on your phone, and it's just convenient to having everything there, and you can listen to everything there. If it's not on Spotify, then you just ignore it.
Yeah,
it's strange, and kind of because I have like 1,100 games on Steam that I've bought, and it adds up to a lot of dollars. And if Steam, let's say tomorrow, decides that they don't want me on their service, they just ban me from their service, I lose all those games. I lose all the money I've put into their shop, and there's nothing I can do about it. They're basically renting me the right to use their games, which is a weird problem when you're dealing with non-physical media.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting that how that developed and worked. And so one of the things you're paying for isn't just the game, but it's the service that all of your games are together in one library. That it's an easy, like convenience. You're paying for convenience. You're paying for the actual memory and having that stuff there. So if something happens in your apartment, you still have the ability to do it. And that's what a lot of items and what marketing I think misses sometimes is, like somebody was just telling me today, we've got a soda machine at work and it's like 75 cents for a can of soda, and they go to the store and for $1 something they get a 1 liter, and they're like, I can, instead of for 30 cents more, I can get over 3 times as much soda.
Right.
Yeah, but you had to stop and remember to get it, go to the convenience store. You had to do something to go out of your way, where this here, it's cold, it's available, it's got a card reader, so you can, you don't have to have change anymore. It's you're paying for the convenience. Same thing as, the convenience store, the gas station where we go in and you're getting the stuff, it's $1 something for a 20 ounce. And you can go to the grocery store and you can buy a 2 liter for the same price. Why are you spending that? And people do it every day. Yeah. You're paying for the convenience. And I think that's something to remember. One of the things I think that, because I've got some musician friends and some people that I follow on Facebook or other places, that they're professional musicians, they're mixing engineers, and they complain about Spotify and the crappy rates, and they're absolutely right. I agree with them 100%. But it doesn't change the fact that it's been allowed to get to the situation and you have to deal with it, and that Spotify is a very valid method of building a base or getting your music out there. And it's not much different than nowadays. It's not much different than the radio, where why would I buy something? You can hear it on the radio at any time. Only more so because you can decide what to play and play it as many times as you want. But it's a way to get somebody interested in you as an artist and a way to build fans. If you look at it that way, then there is an opportunity there. Right. But so I really feel bad for some of these bands that have been around for 20 years that are going through this digital revolution and seeing their entire income stream has completely been flipped over, and they've had to deal with it. But what I found is most of them are, and most of them are still successful, and they're able. You know, are they getting rich? Absolutely not. Are they making a living playing music, doing albums even in this day, and still selling albums? And for the most part, the answer is yes.
I guess it's most like promoting your act and getting people to the gigs. Probably. It's funny you mentioned the soda machines, and I was, because it reminded me the coins and the having the chains with you. I recently used a candy machine. I was taking this course in one of the places, and they had this old, very old candy machine, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy a chocolate bar. Of course, it didn't have it, so they were all out. So I was like, okay, I put like €2 in. So I was, let me just get my money back. And it started spewing out like 10-cent coins, 5-cent coins, and the little box where you get the return money got so full that I couldn't open it anymore. So, so my money was there, and it's like, what can you do? I've had a lot of like vending machine disasters, but that was a first.
Yeah, I actually I filled soda machines for Pepsi for like 5 years. Yeah, so I would throw them in, and it was an interesting job, to say the least.
Right.
So I was pretty good at it.
Oh. I'm sure you were.
I was actually very good at it. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying.
So for our next song,
Oh goodness.
let's go with something else here. This one is called Edifice. It's by Devin and Adam Hill. Edifice by Devin and Adam Hill. That's absolutely beautiful. It's gotta be one of my favorite tracks I've heard in the show so far. That and the what was that? Choose Your Own Adventure. That one was amazing. But this really beautiful. I gotta save that somewhere. Of course, Daddy shouldn't play favorites, but to listen. Here we tell you how it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that one was Devin did the bass guitar, and then Adam did the solo work on top. I think.
Right.
And I actually met both of them at FAWMtalk 2012, I think, in Madison, or outside of Madison. And Devin, I tell you what, Devin is cool. He is something else. He is awesome. Him and Sapient getting up on stage and playing Daisy rock guitars will always be a fond memory. Rocking out. It's awesome.
Sounds cool. So Cairo Braga was talking about his, of course, a guest from our earlier shows was talking about his net label in the chat room. Did you check that out?
I clicked on it. I haven't actually clicked on any of the links to see anything about it yet, but he's got news, catalog, artists, about, contact, and links, so it looks like there's some information over there. And it's at elegantelephant.cairobraga.com.
Elegant Elephant, that is amazing. It looks like, was that made with paint? That looks sick.
I don't know, it is cool.
Yeah. Creative Commons 2012 to 2017. I gotta keep that in mind. Anyway. So, we're actually gonna have one more show after this, right? So tomorrow we'll be listening to plenty of music. And it's going to be a lot of tracks that the people submitted in this forum thread on FAWM.org. And if you happen to have one of your favorite tracks, or if you happen to know which one of your tracks from this year was your favorite, I can't actually find the... Okay, let me go. Farm Culture 101. Yeah. It says, forum thread called Your Own One Favorite Song from FAWM 2019. Let me just post that here. And, I downloaded like 30 tracks from there already. I've been listening them through. But if you still want to pitch in, we'll check out your favorite songs, and we'll be playing a selection of them tomorrow in the last post-FAWM extravaganza.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see how many songs we can get to.
Yeah. If past experiences are anything to go by.
Yeah, so I made sure that in that post, that original post, it was like very clear and succinct. And I put in there, and we would love to play a few or a couple of these songs. So it's like the last thing I need is, you said you'd play it on FAWMtalk and you didn't play my song. And it's like, I'm sorry, I can't play them all. I can't.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
The worst part about FAWM is the angry mobs that it generates.
FAWM's awesome.
Of course it is. Just updating. Yeah. So I think that's about that for today. And tomorrow we'll be on a little bit earlier. It's going to be a fun time slot at 4 p.m. Central. And be sure to tune in to post-FAWM extravaganza and tell your friends and get everyone to join us in the chat room, the live chat. We're gonna try to break our record we have peak concurrent is 13 from today, so we have to get at least 14 peak 14 concurrent people in the chat room tomorrow. So keep that in mind.
See.
Get your friends, your family, your uncles, the neighbors,
your dogs, your cats,
right? The convenience store clerks,
your bearded dragons.
Everybody, absolutely everyone. All people have to watch tomorrow. FAWM is over, so you have no excuses.
We still have 11 hours and 40 minutes. Is that right? 10 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah, 10 hours.
40 minutes. 39 minutes.
Yeah, but by then it'll be over.
Yep. Tomorrow we'll be like, what are we going to do? We're going to listen to FAWMtalk.
Yes, exactly.
All 2,900 of us.
Yeah. That's probably going to happen. I think
yeah. I'm not going to guarantee it, but I think it's pretty solid.
Odds are in our favor. So, the last song, we got a cool one here. It's by a famous Patrick. And this one is called Moving On. So, until tomorrow, see y'all around.
Later.
Watch the sunrise while I sing this song. Here come gray skies, I should move along. Where I am is not where I belong. Moving on, moving on. Now it's raining, trying to stay dry. Not complaining, you won't hear me cry. My feet get itchy, I can't figure why, but I know it's time to say goodbye. Will you miss me while I'm gone away? Don't dismiss me, I mean what I say. I'll think of you when I'm gone away. Moving on, moving on. Now it's raining, trying to stay dry. Not complaining, you won't hear me cry. Feet get itchy, I can't figure why, but I know it's time to say goodbye. Night is falling, moon is shining bright. Owls are calling, wishing me good night. Roots don't suit me, they don't fit me right. Moving on, moving on. Moving on, moving on.